Welcome to class 2, the second lecture. What are we going to discuss today? You've read the book. Some of you have uploaded questions, not all of you. The ones who did not have one fail. Well, since you're here, I suppose all of you have uploaded the questions, but you're allowed only 2 fails for uploading the questions. Yeah.
I have a question because I didn't saw on the organizational module now on 1 week before. I only saw the hour to upload the questions when I went to upload my questions.
Mm-hmm.
It was over 2 hours of the deadline.
Yeah, but in the last class I said that the deadline was the Wednesday before the next class.
I did it on Wednesday, but not on 12.
No,
I did it on
but it was in the
12.
information. But send me, if you miss the deadline by 2 hours, it's okay. You're allowed only 1 fail, so do not miss another one. Okay?
No, now I know.
Good. So this is what I'm going to discuss with you. 2 macro trends: globalization and digitization. Actually, those are the slides that I skipped last meeting. The communication revolutions, not 1, but, well, 2. What exactly is this thing, the space of flows, or the flow economy? And I will be focusing on Enterprise 2.0, and finally on who controls networks. So, to start with the first point. I am doing a research project myself, and that is into Bitcoin. Most people think that Bitcoin is a cyber currency, a digital coin with which you can buy things, pay things. But Bitcoin is something completely different, or it's more than just a currency. Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer network which allows information transactions. A currency is a form of information. The information you transact on the Bitcoin network is value. But since it is digital, everything that is digitized can be exchanged. So this Bitcoin network, and I won't be going into this too deeply, but the Bitcoin network also allows for DNS systems. DNS is a domain name server. If you go to www.google.com, you actually go to something that has a cipher code 192.178.168.2. Nobody remembers these codes. So instead of these codes, you have the names, domain names. Bitcoin is completely anonymous. Imagine what you can do in a completely anonymous domain name system. Imagine the possibilities for crime or for societal revolutions. You can create a completely anonymous Twitter clone. We all know that Facebook, Twitter, are tools for liberation. But the flip side of the current tools is they're also tools for control. You've all heard of the Snowden scandal. The American Secret Service, not Secret Service, but what's called the NSA, and the British spy agencies all tap into all networks. Everything we discuss through Twitter, email, Facebook, phone is tapped by these agencies. The Bitcoin network makes it possible to do so completely anonymous. Okay, so much for Bitcoin. What exactly is digitization? Digitization is a trend in society towards more digital information. Obvious. It goes hand in hand with globalization. You're all students from, well, where are you from?
I'm from here,
From Holland.
Yeah.
But you don't speak.
No.
You have an accent. So your
well,
roots are elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm from Curaçao.
You are from here.
Yeah.
You're from France or Belgium. You're, yeah?
Me?
Yeah?
No, Portugal.
Portugal, okay. Anyway, not from here. My point is, we live in this space, this global space, where I have my family in Slovenia, my friend who lives in Bolivia, friends who live in Israel, and they're just around the corner. And it's so normal for us, but only 20 years ago this was impossible. If you wanted to phone to China, or Curacao, or Portugal, it was expensive, so you did not do it. Now, I can discuss anything, how it snows in Slovenia with my cousin, and I tell her, okay, I'll be over in a couple of days. So digitization, the new digital media, and globalizations are two flip sides of the same coin. This is a quote from my favorite researcher into the subject, Saskia Sassen. Digital space enables articulations between national, territorial, and global spaces that deborder national encasements. What this means is we live in a society that is post-national. The nation state is less and less important. And that creates room for economic, and there we go, for economic parties, actors, who are transnational. Google is a transnational player. They're not an American company. They're a global company. Okay. Next quote. What does it say here? Yeah. The digital is embedded in the larger societal, cultural, subjective, economic, and imaginary structurations of lived experience. It can act back on the social so that its specific capabilities can engender, and this is the crux, this is the point, can engender new concepts of the social and the possible. I read an article about online dating in New York the other day. And online dating is over. It's old. What people do nowadays is they use Tinder. You know Tinder, don't you? So, I'm single again. I thought, hey, here's my chance. I downloaded Tinder and I played around with it. And the first thing that happened, I had a match with a very attractive woman who obviously was not Dutch, but okay. She was based in Amsterdam, or so I thought. But when I looked closer, it said 9,765 kilometers away from Amsterdam. What? What's that? So, I sent her a message. Where do you live? Buenos Aires? No, Sao Paulo. She used a trick, an app you can use for Tinder, which lets you choose another locale, another city. So she chose Amsterdam. She planned on going on a vacation sometime in March or April, and she thought, okay, let's see who's interested in me, and perhaps I can sleep over. New possibilities. This is way beyond Airbnb or couch surfing. This digital society, this digitization, this new global society creates completely new concepts and possibilities. So I ended my chat, and we're no friends anymore. I'm not a hotel. The communication revolution. There are actually two communication revolutions. The first one started in the 19th century with the start of mass communication, mass transportation. And these are the innovations of the first communications revolution. I just copied it from the book, so if you're surprised to see that here, I'm a lazy lecturer. The innovations are bureaucratic organization. a new infrastructure of transportation and communication, mass communication and mass research. What does it mean? We all grew up in societies where, well, an example, my roommate, Dave Van Ginhoven, I don't know if you know him, he's a Canadian. He lived in the United States for I don't know how long, 10 years or so. He has a green card. He's not an American citizen, he's a Canadian citizen, and I believe he's a Dutch citizen too. Anyway, he told me yesterday that he needed to go to the American consulate in Amsterdam because he wanted to get rid of his green card. Why? He never uses it. He never goes to the United States anymore.
And he doesn't want to probably pay American taxes.
What?
He probably do not want to pay American taxes, which is.
And that's exactly why he wanted to get rid of the green card. He did not want to run the risk of when he goes to New York sometime in March or April, that the American Customs Service says, "Hey, Mr. Van Ginhoven, you owe us about $100,000 in taxes." Bureaucratic organization. 19th century stuff, or 20th century stuff, 21st century stuff. It still is here. But it is here in the context of the globalized, digitized society. Well, okay, this speaks for itself, these reports. Okay. The second communication revolution is the revolution that was made possible by the invention of computers and by digitization. So, flexible networks organization, new infrastructure of transport and communication, computer networks, segmented and personalized communications, one-to-one, interactive narrowcasting, multiplication of media forms. And for us, that is the most important aspect. If we look at what some people call the new economy, what makes this new economy new compared to the old economy? The old economy is an economy based on mass production, mass transportation, mass communication. The new economy is based on personalized production, or can be based on personalized production. Of course, if I buy a toothbrush, it still is mass produced, I don't know where. But it is possible to buy shoes that are completely, that are made for me on the internet. I know of a company in Holland here, in Eindhoven, that makes shoes for people who need special shoes. You know, they have something at their foot. It's not prosthetic, but how do you call that? Steunzolen. How do you translate that in English? Anyway, these people need special shoes because if they don't have these special shoes, they get something in their back. Yeah, that's the word. Orthopedic shoes. Thank you. They're expensive. If you want a pair of orthopedic shoes, you pay €1,000 at least. But this company makes it possible to create orthopedic shoes for a couple of €100. How do they do that? They have shops in Holland. You go there, you show them your foot, they make a scan from your foot. They send the scan file to a factory in the Philippines, and the shoes gets back here. So that is one-to-one, production. It's a form of new economy. But the first communication, the results of, or the innovations of the first communication revolution are still here, because we still use mass communication, mass production. It's all hybrid, it's all mixed. Okay, what is the economy of flows, the flow economy? This is my other favorite author, Manuel Castells. He's a Catalan sociologist. He's the inventor of the term network society. We're here together in this room, and I give a lecture. You listen, or pretend to listen. You uploaded questions to the internet, to Blackboard, or you wrote whatever. But there are also students abroad, in Mexico, in Curacao. I don't know where they are. I have no clue. But these students who are away on exchange also need to give a presentation. That's why I told all of you I want online presentations. The Space of Flows is exactly that. It's the digital territory where we can work together. Let's say that for the next class I want a lecturer from Birmingham. No problem. I Skype him and he gives a lecture. He's here, not in physical form, but in digitized form. The Space of Flows is, well, it's not really a space, but okay, space is a relative thing. Is the space where digitized entities work together. Not necessarily in the same time, not necessarily in the same place. That creates new possibilities for economic practices. Shoes from the Philippines, made to your personal demands. It's only possible in the Space of Flows. Okay, I think I'm going to skip this one. Enterprise 2.0. If I were to ask you, because you've all read the book, what is the most important characteristic from this list here? What would you say?
Collective intelligence.
That or knowledge sharing, but I'd say both of them. And why is that?
Because it's easier to discuss online ideas and come to...
No, of course, it's made possible by these digital things, but why is knowledge sharing, why is collective intelligence fundamental
Because it's permanent.
to a company, yeah?
It's admitting you don't know everything.
Well, okay, of course, but admitting you don't know everything and being open to ideas from other people or other players in the same field or other stakeholders creates more creative possibilities. It makes you a stronger company. Because if you have tunnel vision, you'll be wiped out. Only if you're open to the context you operate in, to society, or to new ideas coming from your organization, you'll have a better chance of surviving in this digitized, globalized world. So for me, knowledge sharing and collective intelligence are the fundamental aspects of Enterprise 2.0. I won't be going into the other ones because they're obvious, yeah? Or you just waved to me?
No.
Oh, nice. Okay, what's the next slide? Ah, yeah. No.
My own letter.
You're not allowed to go there. What are you doing?
I did my own letter.
Oh, that's fine. Because if you were late for class,
No, no, no.
this is really important. And
Thank you.
the market economy, the network economy, and the hierarchical economy. Do we have examples of those? China. What is China? If you
Hierarchical
Hmm?
economy.
Hmm?
A hierarchical economy.
Oh yeah?
I don't know, it's normally contracts and agreements are usually controlled or supervised.
It's all three of them.
Yeah.
It's all three of them. It's not only a hierarchical economy, not only a market economy, not only a network economy. A friend of mine had a company that produced clocks. He was based in Amsterdam. He designed the clocks, went to China, where he had partners, companies, the virtual company, that produced these clocks for him. Shipped to Europe, and it made him rich. It's both the network, China is both the network economy. You have to know, people, you have to know the networks. You have to know how to access them, how to enrich them, how to use them. It is obviously a hierarchical economy because it's state controlled, but the state leaves enough space for the market economy. So all these aspects coexist together in the economy. It's not an either-or thing. It's osmotic. It all exists together. These are, in my view, the most fundamental aspects of these three, well, modes of economy. The market economy is independent, free parties. The hierarchical economy is dependent. I say you do, you're dependent of me. And the network economy is interdependent. We're partners. It's about profits, careers, or reciprocal gains. If you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Win-win situation. Modern capitalist economy is a mixture of strategic alliances, federations, oligopolies, and even monopolies on the one side, and heavy competition on the other. So it's all three of them. China, Europe, which is exactly the same in that sense, have these three aspects, or the economies of these of China and Europe, or the United States. See, I have two more bullets. Yeah, okay. Despite all calls for liberalization and deregularization, the modern capitalist society is highly organized and regulated. There's still. What happens in Europe now? What's the big issue in Europe right now? Ukraine. And what is Ukraine about? It's the dependency of Russian gas. Europe does not produce its own energy. The Dutch have some gas left in Groningen. The Norwegians have enough gas. The British have some too. The Germans have nothing. They have coal. And they create energy through green means, solar energy, wind energy. And there's this big push now inside Europe by the European Union to create a European Union of energy producers. So we won't be dependent of the Russians anymore. And this is not something that comes from the market economy. This is a top-down initiative. The European Union and all nation states that participate in the Union want this. It's regulated. On the other hand, we have the deregularized, God, this is very complicated for me, deregularized energy market that happened, well, 15 years ago. Before that, energy was a state-controlled thing. Now it's the private sector, and in 10 or 15 years, it'll be a state, well, a European Union control thing again. It's highly organized and regulated. But it increasingly adopts a network form. So it moves from the hierarchical to the network organization. And who controls the networks and how are networks controlled? What kinds of networks do we have? Here's a typology of different kinds of networks. You have open networks, you have closed networks. The closed networks are more formal, they're more top-down controlled, and the open networks are more informal, they're peer-to-peer, bottom-up controlled. Okay, I won't go into all of these different types of networks, but what I want to underline here is that it's a scale. Bitcoin is this. It's a completely open peer-to-peer network. Wikipedia is this. Everyone, each and every one of us can contribute to the knowledge on Wikipedia. Okay, convergence and integration. What do I want to tell you here? We have these 4 layers of producers, economic activity, services, infrastructure, construction services, management services, and content services. From Ericsson, Huawei, which is a Chinese company, to Google and Facebook. What do these companies do? How do they want to control their the networks they operate in? They do that by either converging these 3 modes of communication: mass communication, one-to-one communication, and this is a hybrid form of communication, many-to-one, one-to-many. There is no phone company anymore. There is no one phone company that is not also an internet company and a broadcasting company. I don't know about the situation in France or Portugal or Curacao, but I do know about the situation here in Holland or in the United States. Here in Holland, if I want to order, well, if I want to watch television, I go to UPC or Ziggo, and they sell me telephone services, internet services, television services. But 10 years ago, UPC only had television. 15 years ago. And KPN only had telephone. But now these are converged companies. That is convergence of services. Vertical integration is what Apple and Google do. They create, well, this. They create phones. They have content services. Apple is a builder, a producer of computers. But in 2000, I believe, when the first iPod was introduced, for 900 guilders, 500 euros. A month after they introduced the first iPod, they launched the iTunes Music Store. And now they have the App Store. You can FaceTime. So Apple, as a producer of hardware, also offers content services. Google, started out as a producer of content services, but wanted also to integrate. So they created Android. They bought, what's it called? No, Motorola. Microsoft bought Nokia. Yeah?
Just just mentioned about Apple producing hardware, but anyways, their motherboard or their other products.
Could you speak up a bit?
Within Apple, what you see Apple products, none of them are produced by Apple. For example, if you take the Apple phone, if you talk about hardware, then nothing is produced.
Apple
by
is, of course, yeah, you're completely right. Apple is also an example of a network company. They design.
Yeah, that's all.
They design and they outsource the production to China, to companies that are in their network. Yeah. But still, they make their money from both content services and hardware. So, if I call them a hardware company, it's not because they don't produce it themselves, but they sell it and make money from it. Okay, clear this? No, that was in fact what I just told you. Have you followed the news? Not really. Well, this is what happened in the United States in the last 2 weeks was that the FCC, the Federal Communications Committee, the regulator for telecommunication services, telephone, television, etc., published a policy that says that all network owners must make their networks neutral. That means that you or I or Google or YouTube are not able, will not be able to buy a high-speed internet connection. All parties that are connected to the internet are treated equally. There's no preference. That is a very big thing. Because if Verizon or AT&T or whatever network owner was to sell a faster internet connection to YouTube instead of to Vimeo, Vimeo will be out of business. It creates an economic space where the entry level is lower and where there's more competition, more honest competition. It also creates a space where each of us can discuss open and free. Because if the internet is not neutral, you create parties, or you make it possible for parties to censor discussions. So there is no controller of the internet in the United States now. There are 3 countries in the world who have adopted net neutrality. The first one was Chile. The second one was Holland. And the third one, United States. Okay. This is my lecture for now. Do you have any questions?